you don't. Okay, welcome back once again to another episode. Now, I know you guys came here hoping to find the secret trick to having abs in 5 minutes, but let's face it, if you want to get shredded abs, you don't do it quickly. Just like anything else in the gym, just like anything else in life, there's no simple, quick secret to having something like that. Abs are one of those things that every person wants. It's got to be the one thing that people ask me about the most. Everybody just wants to get that great six-pack, and you know what? I understand that, but it takes work. It takes quite a bit of work actually to get that. Now, if you're lucky enough to be like me, where you generally have a super low body fat percentage, you'll normally have some abs. It takes a little bit to get it, and you're gonna have them quite a bit. But for the majority of the population, it's going to take a fair amount of work to get that six-pack. Now, myself, I'm a big advocate of the abs are made in the kitchen statement, purely for the fact that if your abs are covered by fat, you're not ever going to see your abs. Now, everybody has some sort of abdominal muscle underneath that fat, just like everybody has a bicep and everybody has a quad. Now, if you go look at somebody, you're going to notice that there are people that have higher bicep peaks than others that don't. Once again, this comes down to the amount of fat that's on your body. So as long as you have fat covering up a certain muscle, you're never going to actually be able to see that muscle. Now, this becomes a little bit more obvious with abs, which is why people say they want to work to get abs, when really the abs are there, they're just covered by fat. So diet is the biggest thing when it comes to getting abs. You want to get your body fat percentage down lower so you're going to be able to see that. Now, most people are going to have visible abs at 12% body fat. That's usually about what I get up to when I'm on my bulk, and I can still generally see my abs when I want to flex. Now, if you want to get shredded abs, you're going to want to cut that body fat percentage down quite a bit. When I'm at, say, 9% body fat, my abs are extremely noticeable. They're pretty much noticeable all the time, even when I'm not flexing them. So that's what it comes down to, is that you really need to take the fat off your body that's covering your abs in order to see them. But that's not the only side of it. Of course, being a muscle, they can be built, they can look better. They're not just something that can be forgotten about and have diet alone bring out exactly what you want. You do still have to work for your abs. I have an ab day in my workout. Generally, once a week I train my abs. For some people, you have to train them more. Just kind of depends on really where you're genetically set. Unfortunately, abs do have a whole bunch of genetic background to it, but it doesn't matter. You're still going to be able to see them even if you don't have the best genetics in the world. When I train my abs, I generally do circuits just because I find it gives you the best burn out of it. Abs are more based on stability rather than actual strength. So your typical 4 sets of 10 reps ain't necessarily gonna do the best for your abs. So when I do my abs, usually what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do 3 different ab exercises, all of about 15 reps, normally hitting different areas. So I'll have one for obliques, I'll have one that is targeting straight in the middle of the abs, and I'll generally have one that kind of gets a little bit of both. And I just find that for personally me, that's what works best. Now, today's workout later on, I'm going to sort of show you guys what my ab routine looks like on a weekly basis and sort of where I follow through to get that. So basically, if you take sort of these 2 core concepts, which are, you're going to be fairly repetitive when it comes to bodybuilding and fitness, which are going to be, of course, your diet and your training. This is how you're going to build your abs. So for those that came here expecting to find out how to get abs as fast as humanly possible, I'm sorry, I can't give it to you in a week, I can't give it to you in 5 minutes. I can only provide it to you really in the amount of time that it takes for one, your body fat to deplete to a certain point of which they are visible, and two, for your routine and workouts to hit the point where they have a substantial volume to them. I know that there are plenty of videos out there that are your trick to quick abs, and there's plenty of gimmicky machines that are supposed to help build your abs. Now, I have to say, some of them work, some of them don't. I mean, of course, anything that you're gonna work is at some point gonna build, but if you're not doing a substantial routine with it, it's not gonna build substantially. It's just the way that things go. The other side is that just because you buy some gimmicky machine doesn't mean that you're gonna get abs when you still eat like a pig. So cutting down the food you're eating healthier is always gonna help with that. The other thing that I of course have to address in this video is the one thing that I see pop up everywhere on Instagram. There's ads for it all over the place, and that is waist trainers. Waist trainers are the biggest waste of money that you can possibly invest into because quite honestly, they are useless. The idea that you can target fat loss within your abdominal region just by wearing some stupid belt is insane. One, there's absolutely no way to target fat loss. Two, you're gonna get a little bit more sweat, but sweat means nothing. I can drink 20 bottles of water in a day and sweat a ton, or I can drink 5 bottles of water in a day and only sweat a little. When it comes down to it, my fat loss is still exactly the same, and it's still not targeting in my abdominals no matter what I do. So before you go and spend money on something like, say, a waist trainer, stop. Look at your routine, look at your diet. These are the things that are gonna make a difference. These are the only things that are gonna make a difference. There is no piece of equipment that you can wear that is going to make it any better for losing fat in your abdominal region. It all comes down to where you lose fat from first. Personally, I tend to lose fat from my back before anything else. And my abdominal region is actually usually the last place that ends up losing fat, which makes things a giant pain when you want to bring out your abs. But that's just the way that it works. You can't choose which place loses fat first. It's just genetics. So with this being said, we're gonna move into my workout. I'm gonna show you guys a typical ab routine for me, as well as I do generally do my arms with my abs, so I'm gonna have a few of those in there too. Enjoy it, and I'll see you guys after the workout. Okay, let's jump into today's workout. Of course, like I said earlier in the video, we are doing the abs and arms workout today. Now I'm starting off with this circuit for my abs. It is a 3 exercise circuit. I start off with the Russian twist on the decline bench. I find that I can get way more burnout of it when I use the decline bench personally, as opposed to just doing it sitting on the ground. Right now I'm using a 20-pound medicine ball while doing it. Normally I'm going for about 15 reps each side. Then after that, we are going to move on to the leg raise over here. One thing you'll notice that when I do my leg raises, even though I'm doing 15 reps, I am going to switch up my leg position each time. So I'll go from right to left and then in the center, all at 5 each, just because this gives you a more all-around hit on your abs, and it just seems to give you a better burnout of it, as well as it doesn't leave those obliques lagging behind. Next off, we're going to move on to the ab rollout. This is the one that I don't do a huge amount of reps on because, quite honestly, it is very difficult for me, and 5 or 6 is usually about the max that I'm able to get out of it. Now, it's still something that when you do 5 or 6 reps, you are going to feel it like no tomorrow, so there's nothing wrong with doing a few less on that, as well as some other exercises are okay to do less. For myself, I'm still trying to build a bit of size in my core just for the sake of bodybuilding, so that's why I will do less reps than the typical person would on some ab exercises. After that circuit, I'm going to move over here to the weighted cable crunch. just because this is a great exercise for me for building some strength in there, building some size, and it's just an all-around great ab exercise. It's one that I would recommend to pretty much anyone, no matter where you're at. It has lots and lots of benefits, especially for building that strong core. I am going to end my workout today with this. Sometimes I will do a few more exercises. I'll throw in some planks or some leg raises, just hanging leg raises as opposed to using the machine to get a bit more burnout of it. But I was feeling pretty good after these sets today, and I was comfortable ending it with that. And of course, what we be doing if we didn't decide to do our biceps on core day. Yes, we're moving on to our arm workout now. I'm starting off with the preacher curl. With this, I'm usually do a fairly slow rep. I just find it gives a little bit more tension, gives better contraction, and it just, in general, feels better when I'm at the end of the exercise for it. Normally, for most of my arm exercises, I'm going to do 8 to 10 reps, looking a little bit more into that hypertrophy range to try and build some size. After that, we are going to move over to the tricep push down. This is pretty much my go-to tricep exercise. I'll do it almost every arm day. It's one of the few exercises that I will do each and every time. It's just all around a great exercise. It doesn't matter how many times you do it, you're still going to feel a good burnout of it. Next off, we're going to switch back over to the biceps, and we are going to hit the cable hammer curl. What this does is it really focuses on that outer side of your arm, build some width to it, which is something that as a skinnier person is a big deal for me, so that's why I always do a hammer strength exercise whenever I'm doing an arm day. And then we're going to go to the overhead tricep extension. This one just basically, it hits a different head on your tricep as opposed to the tricep push down, which is why I'll do this one as well. As well as this is one that I find I can rack up the weight pretty good on and get a real nice stretch in my tricep on. And that's going to conclude my workout for the day. So that was my core and arms routine. And of course, like usual, what I want to do is leave you guys with a little sort of final thought. And when it comes down to abs, I really want you guys to sort of think about each and every day what you're eating. Because a lot of people sort of go about their day eating their typical idea and not really considering what they're putting into their bodies. One of the biggest things with any kind of weight training is diet, and until you actually start to think about what you're taking into your body, you may not see a substantial change within the body itself. This is one of those bigger concepts that working out is great, but unless you combine it with some sort of diet, you're never going to get those sort of true results that you want to see. It's a difficult concept to get a hold of, but more often than not, people that aren't reaching their goals, especially ones if you're looking for fat loss, it's because they're filling their diet with lots of fats and lots of sugars that are just building on top. Yes, you may be getting some muscle mass, and it's completely possible, but it's all hidden underneath that fat. So make sure you guys are conscious of what you're putting into your bodies, and you'd be surprised at the results that'll come from just simple adjustments in your diet. And with that, I'll see you guys next week. Peace, guys.